to the show. Danielle Mercury. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Oh, hey, Philadelphia. Join Danielle for a star-studded night with the cosmos for the Astrology Fundamentals and Cosmic Guidance workshop. You'll learn everything you need to know to make astrology easy and relatable in your life. You'll learn how to read your birth chart, plus you'll walk away with a stellar guide mapping out all the trends you need to know for 2020. Plus, there'll be cocktails, mingling, and more for you to sink your soul into. Oh, and why not continue the magic and stay the night? The Deacon has a one-of-a-kind, Instagram-worthy suite of bedrooms and incredible views. Besides, Philly is way more fun when you sleep over. Go to daniellemercurio.com/Danielle's-events to sign up.
Hello, my friend. We are almost to the end of Friendsgiving. Actually, that's not true. We're only at the halfway point. And at this point, I bring you Regan Moria. So sound of music of me. See? I knew I had something to that lineage of being a nun. We actually talk about that in our episode this evening, all about, is a convent really a coven? Something to think about. Look at the wardrobe of a quote-unquote witch, and then look at the habit that a nun wears. Coincidence? I think not. So tonight we have Regan, another Philadelphia friend of mine, and we connected about a year ago. I saw her on Insta and I was like, who is this healer? Doing Reiki all around the city, doing tarot readings. I considered getting one, but then we became friends instead, which, that kind of worked out better for me. And what I loved was she rocks the cheetah. She shows the cleavage. She doesn't fuck around. Like literally, we can talk about ascension, angels, one night stands, and pizza. Like literally all of the things. And I just appreciate how real she is and how she doesn't try to fit some kind of spiritual box or act outside of who she is, while also being an incredible healer and facilitator of her gifts and what she can channel and how she can offer real raw insight when it comes to getting help and expanding and feeling better. I know for her, deep down, her goal in life is just to help people feel better, to let them know that they're okay. And in the meantime, just have a really good time while doing it. So she is an absolute blast. I am so glad she is part of my Philadelphia family, and you are going to see why and how I freaking love her so much. So here is my gorgeous, outstanding, out there friend, Regan Maria.
Well, hi, Regan. Welcome.
Hi.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here.
You're in the flesh.
I know.
Watch out for my little pet.
I know. I sensed it already.
Yeah, so I'm having a situation, which normally, I feel like I'd be embarrassed by, oh, I'm dirty, I have a mouse, there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean?
They're cute.
Well, they're cute, but I feel like it's a sign of, I'm dirty. Not, literally, but, I keep a dirty home, and that's why there's a mouse. But it's no, it's just, the season has changed, and there's, fucking holes in my house.
Well, it's cold. It's an old building. It's Philadelphia. You're Cinderella.
I am Cinderella. It's little Gus Gus. But yeah, Regan walks into my place and she was like, "Did you get a pet?" I'm like, kind of. Didn't really ask for one.
Your spirit guide is a mouse.
I think I've looked it up before. I think it means have more fun. That could be
have
wrong.
More cheese?
No, I can't have cheese. I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, God. One of those.
Yeah. No, definitely not more cheese. I can't have much of anything these days.
I know. Your upgrade.
My upgrade, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like every upgrade I have, it's digestive issues. Like it's my solar plexus, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. So solar plexus gets hit. It's the only, and I think what it is too, it's like if universe knows or my soul or guides know, shut down her stomach because it's the only way she will listen.
It's so true. We all have that. What would you call it? Your Achilles heel?
Yeah, sure. Achilles spiritual heel.
Yeah, we all have that thing that they're like. For me, tracing back to my spiritual awakening, I think the only way that they could get me to wake up is to send me other people, because I was missing I missed every sign that was within myself. Like I could be uncomfortable and I would be like, oh, I better go through this because I like to hurt myself, or self-deprecating, or all those different things. But it's like, again, like it will send you. And for me, it was like always men, attention of men, or love relationships or romantic stuff. And so for me, it was like the universe would send me something like that in order for me to pay attention.
Yeah, I don't know. The universe is like, we're just not going to send Danielle men at all. We just keep forgetting to send her in any capacity. Learning, pleasure. It'll be fine. She said she wanted to be a nun when she was 9. I guess they're just holding.
Can we tell them that you didn't actually mean that?
No, I thought the only reason why I wanted to be a nun was because I thought I was going to go down like the Maria von Trapp route, and I was going to get put into a family that was rich and Captain von Trapp looking kind of man.
In the Alps.
Yeah, in the Alps. Will fall in love with me. And it was going to be great.
Built-in family.
Right. I didn't have to pump any out myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly he's like well endowed if he had 6 kids.
Yeah.
Right? 6 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I stayed in a convent for a weekend. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't like this at all.
Did you go to Catholic school at all?
I did. I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I just thought it was different behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like than like how they were in the classroom. I mean, some of them were cool. Like this one nun, Sister Geraldine, like I loved her. She taught graphic design, and she was like really kooky and funny. That's probably me. That would be me as a nun, actually. She's like my like nun self. I would teach like graphic design, be kooky and funny.
You would, but I always was into it because I felt like they like didn't have to go very far, so they would like go and work, but like they didn't really. I guess they made salaries or whatever, but like
that's what I liked. It was like the comfort of like you're taken care of.
Someone put a roof over their head, then they go back to their house and they like hang out with other nuns.
Yeah.
I thought it looked easy. I'm sure it's not easy at all.
No,
I'm sure that none of that is easy, but in my head, it was just like, all right, cool.
Yeah, like you're set up, sweet. And then, if you think about it, a convent is pretty much a coven.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
And they kind of had it right with the like avoiding men thing.
Yeah, to a certain point. I don't know. Could you imagine going your entire life and never having sex with a man?
I mean, I thought that was going on for the past 3 months.
This is very true, actually. Okay. However, at least I can look back fondly, and I can also project passionately that it will literally come again.
When it's not there, it's very funny because I go through this phase of like, I've had enough sex in my life. And I like go through these phases of how like, if I never like, I will go through it and I really will think that I won't meet a man again or have sex with a guy again. And I'm always like, well, I've had enough sex in my lifetime. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but like, could you imagine never ever even having it once? And then just like, that's your whole life. Like you never actually had sexual relations with anyone, whatever your preference is.
Here's the deal. I'm realizing as older I get, people are really fucked up or like also don't stick to like the things that you think. So like, who knows if they actually have sex or not?
That's true.
You don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of not sex going on.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they're having sex.
Maybe
they have affairs or secret relationships.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
People have secret lives. I'm learning a lot about people's secret lives.
Well, with the work you do too, I feel like you kind of like have a window into all of that.
I do, and I'm surprised, but I'm very quiet about it.
Well, yes.
And I think I'm a pretty wild person, but I'm often shocked by what people tell me, which goes to show me how wild I'm actually not.
I know. I mean, I'm like a prude, really. Like, I present like a certain persona, but like when it comes down to it, I'm like kind of dorky and like a prude.
Yeah, I wonder, I also, like, I feel like I'm very unapologetically, like, open about my life, and so, like, I think because I have that, I feel like I always have this weird, like, person, maybe it's God, maybe it's the universe, maybe whatever it is, like, watching me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always feel like, and I always feel like I want to tell everyone everything about me. So I always feel like it's like I have to, like, if I do something, and I think I've always been really open with my parents, so I always tell them everything. So it's like I always got to keep it kind of
Interesting.
Yeah, like I always got to keep it above the, I don't know.
Right, like I just always have to keep it out in the open.
Yeah, everything's out in the open. So like somewhat, like I'm never worried about people finding out stuff about me because I never do anything that I'm afraid that someone will find out about. Yeah.
Right, like it's like you clear the air before anyone could even be like, hey, like I know, like blackmail or something. Like,
yeah,
I'm not blackmail you, but like that kind of.
I'm not very private. No. Like if someone leaked my nudes, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be into that. Like that wouldn't kill me.
I mean, you leak your own nudes.
I do leak my own nudes, but also it's like one of those things. It's like I wouldn't send a nude if I didn't look good.
Right.
So like you leaked that nude. That's what I want. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I wouldn't be worried about that. Even though, did you see that? It wasn't a meme, or it was just like a tweet or whatever, where it's just like at this point, like the person that needs to be ashamed of the nude is the person who leaks it, not the person who took it.
100%.
I love that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which is honestly, I would say like 5 to 10 years ago, I would have been kind of opposite about that. And even though I think I'm very free with myself and my body and who I am as a person, I think there's a part of me that would feel shame.
Yeah.
And now that the fact that in honestly the blink of an eye, women have completely changed around this idea of what is shameful and not shameful. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that's happened. Even I think when I say in the past 2 years.
I'd say in the past 2 years. I think once like Me Too and certain movements came to be, with that also brought this ownership, and not only an ownership, but like not receiving the blame or the shame anymore.
Yeah.
Not thinking I did something wrong. Because honestly, I carried that energy with me for a very long time. Like I had a sexual assault that I literally believed deep down that it was my fault.
Yeah.
That I asked for it, that I projected it, that, you know, it was all the things that I did wrong. So of course this happened.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like my punishment, right? As opposed to being like, no, someone took advantage of me. Like I said no, I had no interest at all. And he literally took advantage of me and made me do something that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Like that is wrong, and that person who did that should be ashamed.
Absolutely.
And so many other things, but I'm not taking that. I'm not carrying that anymore. And I think so many women are able to see it that way now, and we've been able to release so much.
And we're also, I feel like there's also a part of us that like, and we've talked about this before privately, but like we're allowed to speak up a little bit more about like saying like, no, this doesn't feel like I felt obligated for years in certain situations sexually. And to the similar vein with you being assaulted, same for me. It's like, I remember thinking I deserved it. I drank too much or my skirt was too short, or, I mean, these are things that like, I don't think I voiced publicly, but like felt like it. And I also I thought like no one would help me if I told them, because they would think that like, well, you asked for it.
Right. You asked for it. Like in this case, like I had slept with one of his friends. So I was like, of course, like he knew. You know, but I wanted to sleep with that friend. Right. But like in my head, I was like, oh, well, you know, I slept with one of his friends. So like, of course, like I'm just easy.
And you know what you find out years later when you open up to these people is they would never have it. I mean, there was a part of us that had a blanket statement of shame, but there are these people who really loved you would never feel like that. And they're sad that you didn't tell them. And I was just like, and I'm so compassionate and empathetic and sensitive to certain things. And I'm very like lovey and just like, oh my God, it's not your fault. And that kind of stuff. And I forget that other people are that kind too. Not to be like, oh, I'm the kindest person in the world, but I forget that other people are could be nice. And so when you open up to people and they're just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're like, wait, you don't think I'm disgusting, or you don't think I deserved it. And it's funny because to your vein of being like, that person should be ashamed. I remember thinking to myself when it was happening to me, like just recently through this healing process of years, and it was almost 10 years ago when it happened to me. I remember realizing that like there was two choices for that person who had assaulted me. And it was like, their choice was unloved. There's love. Love could have been like going back to, you know, take me anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was too drunk, maybe take me to the hospital. I was too drunk, maybe take me to a police station.
Of course.
I was too drunk.
Yeah, that was my situation. I was wasted.
Go through my purse and find my address and drop
Mm-hmm.
me off at whatever my address is and find or go through my phone or try and or take me to a hospital. Like I said,
anything. Yeah.
Anything but what they did, which was unlove. And it's so crazy because if I saw someone in an incapacitated state, like I actually did this weekend, I told this one girl, take your friend home. Yes. Go home.
Yes.
Like,
you don't need to be out anymore. You're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, listen, I was like, and she was just like, she doesn't want to go home. Like, take her home. She won't remember in the morning. Because she won't remember if she goes home with this guy, and she won't remember if she goes home with you because and it's like, show love.
Yes.
But we have this thing where we feel like we can't do that sometimes.
Totally. Yeah. And then like, for me, my case was I would like my friends would let me just go home with the guy or whatnot. And then the next day, like I would make it like a funny story and we would laugh about it. And like that became like my role, So again, like nobody takes me seriously because I wasn't taking it seriously.
Yeah. I hated that role. I didn't know at the time, though.
No, I didn't realize it. Like, it wasn't like, okay, now I'm going to get up and I'm going to tell everyone the funny story because that's who I am. It was just like, it was just this, like, I had no choice. Like, it was the only way I knew how to operate.
We healed through that. It's so crazy because at the time, it hurt. Like, it really hurt me. It really didn't feel good. Yeah. But there was a part of you that just had to laugh it off. Like, oh, I didn't come home last night.
Right. You'll never guess. And I mean, I guess I still tell funny stories about dating, but it's from a different lens now. Like the way that I do stand up now, you've seen my shows, we'll talk about funny things that happen, but it's in a different context. Whereas like the quote unquote funny stories that I would tell like 15 years ago, like it actually wasn't funny at all. Like what was happening. Like, like there wasn't any real humor in it. Whereas like now it's more like me understanding what my role is just in dating and being observant and just being open and having a good time and being like, this crazy thing happened. And but it's not because it's not connected to me being submissive, me being taken advantage of, me, there's none of that within the conversation. And that's the difference between the way I tell funny stories now, because it's coming from a place where I'm empowered and I know my worth and I'm not letting myself go to that place. Whereas before, the only way I knew how to deal with being taken advantage of and not being taken seriously was to laugh through it.
Yeah, I was afraid I would lose friends if I didn't think, and like my friends would tell me, of course, could never lose them. There's nothing I could do that was ever wrong. But it's funny because I would feel like if I didn't laugh it off, then I'd have to be like, I have a problem. But at the time, which would be 10 years ago, ish, around when I was going through my divorce or separation from my ex-husband, at the time, like healing wasn't a thing either.
No.
Healing wasn't a thing. It wasn't like, you need to heal from your divorce or you need to heal from your relationship. Or toxic masculinity wasn't.
No, you really had to hunt to find it. Like, you really had to, like, get hit over the head with a book to, like, actually be like, oh, like, this could help me.
Yeah.
It wasn't available in the way it is now.
And I remember about 2 years later, I found therapy, which I'd had previously, but like therapy, and that opened me up a little bit more to the point where I was like, why did this happen to me? Not like I'm sad and help, like,
not the victim.
It wasn't. It was like I was like, how is this happening to me?
Right. What can I learn?
Strong. And people take my advice, and I'm still going. Like I still have the same job as I've had for 12 years. I still put a roof over my head. I still have friends, and I still am a regular person. Like I'm still functioning through all this stuff, and it's like,
if anything, you're just getting stronger and more, expansive. Right. That's what I see in you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But so you're just, it was never. I mean, hearing the word healing probably took 4 or 5 years ago, where someone was like, you're a healer, and obviously find your modality of healing that you can do on yourself and share with other people. But at the time I was like, what is this? What do you mean I have to heal? Like, I'm not damaged.
Right.
Like, I'm not stuck with this for the rest of my life.
Because that's what I thought too. I just thought this is the rest of my life. Like, this is how it's always going to be. And that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Like, but I'll figure out a way to make it work. Like, I'm going to ignore the pain I feel when I see my friends in satisfying relationships, or, again, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but
we do not.
We know a little bit more now, I think, in the work that we do.
Yeah.
However, from what I was seeing on the surface, I was feeling like everyone kind of had their shit together.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So I was like, well, it seems like I'm always going to not have my shit together. So how do I just find a way to cope?
Yeah.
And that was my story for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't want it to be. Like, I think there was still, and I'm curious if you feel the same way, there was still a tiny piece inside of me that I didn't really understand that said, no, it will be different one day. Like, there will be a day where, like, things are going to be different, or, like, you're going to matter. Like, I remember hearing that, but it was so small and so tiny. But otherwise, I pretty much thought it was just this for forever.
I knew that I was destined for something better. Just looking at the way my family is, and just looking at the way that my friends are, like, people still loved me.
Yes.
And I didn't. Like, I was just like, oh God, I'm gross. Man, I remember saying to people, like, ew, why do you even like me? Like, because I was having such a hard time with everything that I put myself through. Again, never being victim. I mean, there are parts of yourself as you do deep shadow work and deep healing. You're like, I am such a victim in this part. Like, and you like laugh at yourself because you're like, oh, gross. I'm like, all of those like victim-y martyr mentalities that like our parents' generation has, the boomer generation. And you see a little traces of that inside of you. But I never tried to be the victim or the martyr. And I remember being like, but also not loving myself and wondering why other people loved me. And when I had my awakening in 2015, I remember asking my parents, like, what was I like as a kid? Or like asking them why they loved me and that kind of stuff. And it was like, those are the things when you're in the midst of like your awakening where you're just like, you want to return back to that innocent child or baby that you were before, that little speck of soul that you were before you like came out into this weird world that we're in. And so for me, it was just like, once I opened that up, I was like, I want to get back to there. And I think that's like my constant, like,
that's so cool. So you did, clearly therapy was the first. Then what was kind of the next gateway for you when, you're talking about healing? For anyone that's listening, that's kind of like, what kind of healing did you do, right? Like, what was kind of the journey of this path for you? So therapy was the first phase. Then how did you start to integrate other modalities?
Well, I didn't listen. I mean, I did therapy, but
we're just saying therapy is like, technically that was the starting point.
Yeah. Right? And then I didn't really listen to all the signs, like I said, within my body. I didn't. And I went through a few years. I think honestly, I loved, as much as it was like, there was a stage of me that was very harmful and very damaging. And once I got into therapy and once I started to, I had this thing inside me. I said, this is always go where you're loved. And I remember at the point when I had that, I lost a friendship of someone who eventually passed away because she got into drugs. And I remember seeing her do drugs, and I remember being like, ooh, I don't like that. And I remember feeling like that was yucky to me. So I ended up like trying to do a more wholesome lifestyle, still a little partying, still a little experimentation with like sex and drugs and a little bit like that for a few years. And I think that it wasn't really working for me. However, I think it was good for me though. I think I kind of opened me up a little bit more because I like to, I don't know, I just wanted to feel more. And I also think it's really good for me now because besides having a few glasses of wine, very sober since 2016, the sober journey, like, which I quit drinking in 2016 for a few months, was I liked myself. Like I'm weirder and funnier and like, I really enjoy, it's a weird world being that, like, not having substances to rely on. Right. Like not wanting to leave myself. So once 2015, I had my spiritual awakening, meeting my twin flame, which I'm not sure if people know what that is, but
we can get there later.
Yeah. All right, so I had that. And so I had a spontaneous, I would say, I didn't ask for my Kundalini awakening or Shaktipat or whatever. I didn't ask for it, but it came for me. And then it took about 6 months for me to find Reiki. And I reached out to a friend and said, I don't want to do I don't want to live like this anymore. Not in a desperate or destitute way.
Right. In a knowing way.
Yeah. I said, what is my gift? It was January 1st, 2016. I had my awakening probably 6 months prior, a little bit more. And I said to myself, but I knew I entrenched myself in meditation and yoga and finally
had you done that at all prior? Meditation, yoga, like any kind of?
I dabbled a little bit. I've always been intuitive. I've always known weird stuff. I've always not liked people or liked people. I've always vibed people. Even as a kid, I always knew strange things. I was like the person at like a party in high school who would be like, the cops are coming, and I would know. And like 5 seconds later, I would leave, and then everyone else would get arrested.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your mouse. Like as soon as I walked in, I was like, oh, there's a pet in here. Yeah. Like I can vibe that stuff. I've
Yeah.
always been like that. But I experimented, but it just didn't catch on me because I'd rather go to the bar. I'd rather go on a date, or I'd rather
preoccupy yourself in other ways.
Eat pizza in bed and watch Dateline NBC or Law and Order SVU. You know, the stuff that I should not be doing.
Every now and then.
Every now and then.
A pizza SVU binge.
Yeah.
That's healing.
Yeah, that's a little indulgence. But I asked my friend, I said, I need to give back. I knew there was something also I needed to give back. So
that's how I was.
With the awakening, there's a part of you that is just like, you read all this stuff or you feel all this stuff and you meditate on all this stuff. And again, like I said, like I had my awakening. I wanted to drink less. I wanted to hang out with like nicer people, or I wanted to spend more time with my I spent more time with my parents. Whenever I did veer off my path, I would get punished, I would say, by the universe in very loud ways. But I said to my friend in January 1st, 2016, like, what should I do? And she's like, my psychic told me to tell you to do Reiki. And I'm like, how does that work?
Right.
I believe it. And it was my friend Jen, and she's very intuitive and very psychic as well. And I was like, what's Reiki? And I just Googled Reiki school, paid the whole entire, it was like, there's payment plans. I'm like, I don't care. I paid $600. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was. I remember hearing about it maybe a few months prior, Googled it for a day, was like, this can't help me.
Right.
You know?
That's exactly how I was with Kundalini Yoga too. I remember hearing about it being like, like when you Google Kundalini, especially like back when I found it, it's like all these men in like turbans, and I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, it just at the right moment, like my yearly horoscope was like, this is the year you'll do Kundalini. And I was like, okay. And then I like got a membership to a Kundalini studio, and I just started going.
It was,
you know, and it's like,
it was the same thing. I was like, this is weird. And I don't know. I remember Googling August prior, like, can you make a living doing Reiki? I didn't know. I don't know why I was so desperate still at my job. But I was so desperate because I was miserable there. I'm still a little miserable there. But I have to put a roof over my head.
However, there is a way to make Reiki full time.
There is.
There's always a way.
There's always a way.
One thing at a time.
But I remember thinking about it later and realizing that I had heard about it before. But I showed up in class, like, I think 18 days later. And I was like, hi, help me. And I didn't know that I knew that I could help myself. I knew that it could help other people. And my mom has fibromyalgia and a lot of chronic illnesses. So I knew that it was I understood what it did after like looking into it. And then it was so beautiful. It was such an eclectic group. There was like 4 of us. We were all very different. It was very socioeconomic, race, whatever. We're all different. And so we were all very different. And there was 4 of us in the class. It was very small and it was very intimate. And it ended up being kind of therapeutic in like our check-ins. And it was 3 months. It was 12 weeks and it was Reiki 1. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I thought I was doing there, but they're like, no, you're here to heal yourself first. And I was like, what? And then they're like, you're a healer and you can heal the world. And I'm like, I can? And I was like, and it just transpired into, then I learned to do tarot cards. There was a little brief, like a little space in between taking Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. So I learned to read tarot cards.
And had you seen a deck before or ever?
I mean, I loved going to psychics. I loved going to mediums. I'd seen a medium prior to my awakening, and then I'd seen a medium in the interim of my awakening. And my aunt had passed away years prior, so she was kind of like a spirit guide to me, and she would always come up. And so I was getting messages. Like I was definitely getting the messages. And then I was reading more about twin flames, and I was reading more about like, you know, Kundalini awakening, and I kind of had a clue. And then I honestly, I think I tried to in like 8th grade to get like a book on tarot card readings, but I was like, this is confusing, and like perfectionist me was like obsessed with like what like I never thought I'd be able to do a card with a card. Like there's infinite amount of combinations. Like what if I got Queen of Swords with 3 of Pentacles? Like what could, you know, and I just thought that looked too complicated.
Right, like too many formulas almost.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, if I thought it was all memorization too.
That makes sense. I thought that in the beginning too. That was a lot of memorization.
Yeah. And it's really not.
You just need to know a few basics.
And I always tell people, like, you can read tarot too. And the best way that I read tarot is I just do the story of the suits. Besides like the major arcana, but the story of the suits. And like the swords has a story from the ace to the, you know, to the 10. They have a story. It's like
Journey.
up and down and up and down and up and down. And so when you see it, like for me, so I caught on to it pretty quickly.
Yes.
And so someone told someone that I read tarot cards, and I was like, I do not read tarot cards. I read it one time in class.
Right.
But I guess someone saw it on my Instagram, so then they asked me if I wanted to read at like a few restaurants here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I guess I'm a tarot card reader now.
Yeah.
So I got into that, and then I took 2 and 3, and then I got my Reiki master, and then I started my business. And so through that, I'm constantly healing too. It's funny because people come to me and they think that I don't know if they think I'm fully healed, but they think that like it stops or like when does it end? And I'm like, it never ends.
Yeah.
We just get better.
We just get better, absolutely, and we're continuously working on it. But I think there is that feeling, especially when you're new to all this, that the person you're going to is just healed, and it's almost like I don't know why we feel that way, but I guess it's almost like an innocence.
Yeah, I explained to them, like, I just maintain it more than you do. That's the difference.
Sure.
I maintain it.
Right, because you've been doing it for a while, you have a better awareness. You understand when it's coming, when you're in it, you can manage it.
Yeah, and I know to always, keep myself in the healing loop. I'm always checking on myself, and every day I'm very present and I live very intentionally. And so that's what's cheap, but like you entrench your life in the healing arts. Mm-hmm. And, it doesn't necessarily mean life is easier. But it means it's more, honestly, it's more beautiful.
It's more beautiful. It's more enriched. There's more possibilities. There's more
Yeah, colors look brighter. Sounds sound more beautiful. People.
Yeah, have meaning. There's just more meaning in everything. Mm-hmm. And especially when you're present with it all.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to work with a greater power every single day.
Yeah, I get to help people, and that makes me so happy because I think that as being an empath growing up, I was always helping people, but there was no exchange for me.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Like people
right.
just
the exchange would be you would get tired.
Yeah, just plug yourself right into me like I'm a charger. Right. Drain my battery and then unplug and leave. And like I remember that was my biggest thing. Less with friends, but my biggest thing with men. And I
was just going to ask that.
That was my biggest thing with relationships with men. And I had been with my ex-husband for 10 years. So I'd had a long relationship and I have stuff to go off of that, longevity of that and a real relationship. And, not to say that it's not real, but I went through the whole entire motion of that. Sure. And then I realized that and then subsequently after leaving him, I met more men, which I probably wasn't prepared for because I'd spent 10 years with the same person.
Of course. When
I first met my ex-husband, I didn't have a cell phone.
Wow.
Yeah. So he would call my parents' house, and we would have a standing Tuesday and Saturday date.
A standing date.
Yeah.
So adorable.
He did it right. He did.
No, absolutely.
He did it right, and then we moved in. I think 6 months to a year after that together. And so when I got back into the dating world, there was sexting and plenty of fish and OkCupid or
dick pics.
And dick pics and yeah, exactly, and all that kind of stuff. And so when I got back out in the dating world, it was a little bit, jarring for me. But I started to realize through dating, so probably the past 8 to 10 years, that men would always leave me better. And I didn't realize I was giving them my best. Not to say that I wouldn't give someone my best.
Of course. But I know what you're saying. It's a different kind of exchange.
Yeah.
You would be feeling depleted, feeling like you weren't getting your needs met, and they would be on top of the world.
Better jobs, moving.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this before, but I used to be hotter and prettier, skinnier girlfriends. And it was kind of true. You know what I mean? They would get, and who knows, again, like we said, who knows what happens. I believe that everyone and everything is equal in certain fashions.
However, from what you were observing and what you were feeling, it was like they were leaving on a high note and you were
depleted and sad. And, it was never me getting a hotter dude after or a better guy. It was always me legit brokenhearted.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling you, jobs, women, whatever, money, travel, whatever.
And you were the charger.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not getting plugged into anymore.
No.
And so that was part of my healing journey too, was just why? I don't want to say it wasn't why does this happen to me anymore, but when I had my Kundalini awakening with my twin flame, I was like, this is the end. It stops here. Mm-hmm. It stops here. I've got to figure this out now.
Yeah.
And instantaneously, it was quick put back on me. And it was just like, you need to love yourself as much as you think that you love these men. As much as I think. Because
yeah, that's a good point. Because we
Yeah.
don't know. We don't even know them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how long it takes to actually know somebody?
Yeah, a long time.
A long time.
Yeah, I sit with myself and I still don't even know myself sometimes. But I remember being like, you need to love yourself as much as you think you love these men. And in it, not in a fashion of just like, go get your nails done or like, don't text him back. In the way of just like, why are you not being yourself? Why are you not giving yourself certain things? Why are you not saying no? Why are you not taking care of yourself? Why do you not have big dreams for yourself?
Right. Why? Yeah, absolutely. And so when you started asking those questions, what started to happen? So you said you met your twin flame.
Yeah.
Which, for anyone that doesn't know what a twin flame is, how would you? We haven't talked about twin flame on this show. I haven't even talked about the twin flame. Once in a while, there's probably been stories about him, but nobody knows that it's like.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, you never talked about twin flames before?
No. He actually subscribes to the podcast.
Oh.
Well, at least I don't know if he actually listens. I don't even. Whatever. We're not going to get into mine.
Yeah.
Share it for people that are listening what a twin flame is, very simply.
So they say,
right?
So they say
yeah.
that it's one soul splits before it comes down and incarnates on this earth, and one soul splits into two, and then they come down and incarnate and to find each other and to help heal the world. And when I first, this is the craziest thing. So I had my like awakening via sex.
It's a great way to do it.
It was shocking.
Yeah, mine was, I think, during an ice cream sundae. So you're way better than me.
Well, I think, again, like I said, the universe had to give me what I would listen to.
Same. You know what kind of stomachache I had after that Sunday?
Ice cream Sundays for you.
Yeah, I passed out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sex for me.
Yeah, so you got that sex.
However we indulge.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving him because he lived in a different state. I remember leaving that weekend with him, and I went home and I Googled, what does it feel like when you went home to someone? I couldn't explain it. I thought that I went home. I thought I was like, oh, I'm sure I have my mom and my dad and my brother, and we like I grew up in New Jersey, and like, yeah, I lived there,
quote unquote home.
Yeah, right. I lived there and I grew up there, and
sure, and that's like a very human perspective of home.
Yeah, and like I have my apartment in the city and like all this stuff, but I really felt like I went home, and I was like, what is this? And before I'd not really thought about like God or anything like that. I was raised Catholic, but I thought that was a sham.
Yeah.
I didn't find Catholic people to be the nicest people in the world, and that rings true today sometimes too. You know, it's just not something that I subscribe to, organized religion. And so I remember feeling like I went home to this person, and I felt like almost like a God, like that he existed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that. So there was something higher and better here, and I could see myself in other people. Not that I couldn't before, because I've been empathetic.
Yeah, but this just took it to the next level.
And I could also see within him what I didn't like about myself, and it made me sad. It made me hurt for myself. I was sympathetic for myself for maybe the first time in my life, because before it was like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not smart enough, you're poor, you're all those thoughts that go through your head. And for the first time, I was like, I am a sweet being. And I remember at the time when I met him, not that I hadn't been taking care of myself or whatever, but like I remember I was like, I'm going to go to the gynecologist and like check myself out. And I'm going to go to the dermatologist.
Yeah,
and I'm going to
the dentist, and like more on top of things.
It was very strange. It was like, I'm going to get up and go to yoga class, or I'm not going to drink tonight, or I'm going to I remember being like, I need your, and it was very strange. So I started to like care about myself. And then I was like, let me check my credit. Like, is my credit in a good spot? Mm-hmm. Like, like, or let me open like a
savings account of some kind.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Just strange little things started to happen. Mm-hmm. And I started to put myself in check, and I started to be like, wow, like some things that I didn't think about at the time.
Yeah. I mean, those are all things that pretty much account for worth.
Yeah.
Right. And so as you started to feel better and you started to look at yourself from a perspective of like, I am a sweet, kind, good person, mm-hmm. your worth literally went up, right? Yeah. Like your stock, so to speak, like was surging. Yeah. And then because of that, you had no choice but to like really start to develop like these practices that embodied that self-worth through taking care of your physical body, taking care of your financial, body, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, all these things that I just thought and probably shamefully thought that some man would eventually take care of.
Yeah, I used to do that too. I used to just think, oh, they'll clean up my finances, or they'll just have so much money that this will be nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a part, and I would never call myself a gold digger.
No, me neither.
I just thought, I think because of my ex, I think with my dad and my mom both worked, but I think my dad just always just took care of stuff.
Yeah.
Or that's just what I imagined.
Same.
And then with my ex-husband, he took care of everything. Since I was 20 years old. So I never developed that root chakra
skill set. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then I think with me having that Kundalini awakening and awakening up all my chakras and going through that, it was just like one by one, it was pinging on like root chakra, sacral chakra, solar, you know, all the way up the line of, you know, opening and grounding and learning what was balanced and not balanced and stuff like that. And so I went through stuff. And so as much as I loved my twin flame at the time, like he's still, I wonder if he's awake or still sleeping. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. And that's a big thing that I want to bring up as well, because we also don't want to romanticize the twin flame, which is very easy to do. I went through that. I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole of reading up on kind of the love story and the fantasy, and that can also be harmful, right? So can you share on that a little bit, like kind of the, I don't want to say caution, but having some reservation around
like you're the most important person in the world to yourself, you know? So it's like, and it takes so much work for me to have this much integrity and groundedness and I'm not always, but like I'm intentional about making sure that I have the most integrity and or just being a good overall being a good person. Not to say that it's a hard thing, but like not many people really wake up and say like, how can I be better? Or you know, or if you do, you understand the struggle of just like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And, you know, and so for me, it's like, if someone else isn't on the same wavelength or vibe as you, it's not really the best thing to force the other person to wake up or be your twin flame. And I find that like the only people that really work out with the twin flame thing are like the dudes that like are awoke, like more awake or woke.
Sure, just here for it.
Sometimes I hate saying the word woke.
Woke.
Yeah.
Just woke AF.
Yeah. Yeah. The guys are really into it too, and they're really into like the spiritual scene.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's really hard, you know, and it's not for the faint of heart. And I don't think I see less people being. I think a few years ago, I thought people were really looking for their twin flame.
Same. I think it's phasing out.
It really is phasing out.
Yeah.
Which is good because again, like I said, life is hard enough.
And life is longer than it's ever been in a lot of ways, which is great, but also like, how long are you going to spend with this person, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And there's a Native American proverb that says like, you can't wake up someone who's pretending to sleep. And I wonder, often some people pretend to sleep. And so when you spend your time, you know, we know that like sometimes people who have twin flames know that their twin flame is awake and aware. Yeah. And they have it in them, but sometimes they pretend to sleep. And so you can, I would rather date a guy that's sleeping than pretending to sleep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, sleep, oh baby, it's okay.
Yeah, aw, you needed it.
Yeah.
You needed the rest.
Yes.
That's so adorable.
And maybe eventually they'll wake up a little bit. But to the pretend sleeping people is the hardest part. And I think that comes a lot along with the twin flame journey is pretend sleeping and or narcissism.
Yeah. That can be a big one too. A lot of empaths are drawn to that narcissist relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I feel like people are starting to wake up about that too.
Same.
And I think people, you know, don't realize that it can be family members. It can be friends. It can be.
Right. It doesn't just have to be an intimate romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all narcissists. They're all around us.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are all around us. And again, I think we're becoming more aware. And I think social media is playing a big part in a lot of that, having information and resources that are coming from real people. Whereas I think before, I mean, I know I started my journey a little bit prior to you. I mean, I would find these blogs that were so like out there and like beyond out there. And I'd just be or I'd go to YouTube and I'd like listen to these people and I'm like, I don't know. It was like crack almost. Whereas like now with like social media and like Instagram, I don't know. It's like I can follow like people that just seem to have a little bit more credibility.
Right.
And I think that seems to be, I mean, I'm sure there's holes you can go through on the Insta. But I think overall there's better information out there, which is also part of the age of Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
The age of Aquarius is all about technology and learning how to not only better inform yourself, but be better informed of people that are the opposite of taking care of themselves and being a narcissist, which really is the reverse effect. The age of Aquarius, the shadow is narcissism, because the age of Aquarius is you are the guru, you are the teacher, but the shadow side of that is you are the narcissist.
Yeah.
So I think all the information that's coming through is making us really aware of that, so we can understand how to navigate it all.
Yeah. And that, like, you can decide to not be in the toxic relationship anymore, whereas like people used to think they had to.
Yes.
And or I was saying recently, kind of to spur off of this, as I was saying recently, like years ago, like if I didn't like something my ex-husband was doing, I only had my mom to call or maybe one friend.
Sure.
If I have a dude that like does something wrong to me, I have that 47 girlfriends. I'm like,
do.
do you know what he did?
And like 7,000 Instagram followers as well that you will share with.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And realizing that like a lot of men say like, oh, women are so different now. Women are so different. No, we're not different at all. I just now have more support.
Yes.
Whereas I might have called my mom after she got home from work to say, I'm sad about what my boyfriend or ex-husband did.
Right.
And my mom would say, you know, or I wouldn't have anyone to reach out to. And so I would think it was me. It was me. There was something wrong with me.
Of course.
Now we can check it and we can be like,
yeah.
Hey, this happened. Is this funny? And you can have 25 women be like, no, that's weird, Reagan. Like, no, that's not okay. Or no, that's, or yeah.
Like,
but
that is you.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, exactly. But before we didn't.
My role a lot of times.
Yeah. Yes. It's always your role. Danielle, like crazy. Yes.
So. Yes, you are. And then I start yelling.
I like to call myself wild and unpredictable. Instead of crazy, but whatever.
I like wild.
Yeah.
I don't use crazy that much.
No.
I say wild.
I like to say crazy though sometimes to dudes, but I think that they like just to scare them a little bit.
What, that you are crazy?
Yeah.
Is that like you're
I'm nuts.
Just so you know. But they might take that, like, they may like that.
Yeah, I wonder.
And you know, like, like depending on the kind of, like, depending on what the guy is looking for, that could be an inappropriate match.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if I said, because if I say stuff like that to my friends, or like people are like, love it, give me more, you know?
Right.
But if I say to a dude, you're right, like he might be like, I love crazy chicks, which dudes won't admit when they like crazy chicks.
No.
Yeah.
But like a lot of them do. Like, yeah, I want you to be freaky.
But I know a lot that really don't like say that they don't like crazy chicks, but like they like when I send them 8,000 paragraphs. Text messages.
They do?
Yeah, I mean, they come back.
Yeah, they sure do.
When you like berate them about how terrible they are.
Oh, I don't do that.
I do.
I get like stern.
Yeah.
But I don't berate them.
I'm like, you did this and you did that and you did this, but I have to cool off on that because it's a waste of my time. Yeah,
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that's not necessary. Like, I don't think you need to entertain it if you're getting to that space, especially if it's a relationship that's not that deep in.
I know.
Right? Like, you haven't even really made it past a few months.
I was still angry at the patriarchy for a little bit, though.
Yeah, I think that's a piece of it. Again, like, we've been on a journey the last couple of years with all of this. So it's like, and I know, like, yeah, so we've been kind of giving it to them, so to speak. However, I do think things are shifting now.
I do.
Where we're cooling down a little bit, but they're also opening up. I think in any relationship, doesn't matter if it's hetero or not, I think there is a softening, and I think it's been a crazy, in your word, couple of years, and I'm not going to lie, 2020 doesn't look that much better. However, here's the difference. While the energy may still be crazy, while our society is not going to just automatically be better, like we're still, like in the U.S., we're still going through, you know, a crazy political scene. There are things that are changing on a diversity standpoint. There's so many climate control. There's so many things. News is thrown at us in a way that it's never been thrown before, right?
I can't process it.
No. I mean, right now my TV has a curtain over it, right? Because I
love that.
Yeah. And so essentially that's not changing anytime soon. I'm just going to be completely honest when I say that. At least this is from my thought process and what I'm feeling, and when I look at kind of upcoming trends, especially now that we're getting closer into 2020, getting out of the teenage years. It's still going to be erratic. However, what's different now, it's not surprising anymore. A couple of years ago when this all came, we were like, oh my God, what's happening? It was like shocking and it like really like penetrated our system. Whereas now we're starting to become used to it. This is kind of becoming our new normal, but knowing that we have a better awareness, we have a better understanding of how to navigate it. And I think we're understanding like, okay, we've got to like soften a little bit to get like continue to move through this.
Is it going to be like the Roaring 20s again?
Ooh, I hope so. I think once we get out of almost. So when did the Roaring 20s start? It was like 22, 23, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
that's also when the Depression came. No,
Depression was late 20s.
I think so.
Oh, fuck, are we gonna have that?
We'll be okay.
Yeah. Hide that money in the mattress, girl.
It's in his Ipsy bag.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, 2020, and I'm not saying, you know me. I never try to say anything to like scare people, but I want to be realistic. I don't want to be like 2020 is going to be magical and rainbows and butterflies. I do think in some ways it's going to be better because I think the way that we've had to show up and see our shadows and step up into who we are, owning our worth, the kind of conversations we've been needing to have with people, the kind of relationships that we've been shifting out of, all so necessary so that as things continue to happen in the way that they are, we're better for it and we're better able to manage it. And I think that's what's getting better, while as I still think there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff.
I think I agree with you 100%. I think the one thing that came up, and when I do all my healings and stuff like that, there tends to be a theme, kind of almost weekly.
Yeah.
And the one that was coming up recently, almost for a month, was reactivity. And I was trying to explain to people, like, and I'm seeing myself, like, I am so, and going back to being like, I'm so reactive. Yeah. I am so reactive. And I said, why am I so reactive? And that's the one thing I've been working on. And it was like, I was telling myself, like, all right, I probably can't go cold turkey on me being reactive, but I can react every 2 or 3 times and see what that does for my life. And I think that that's what's happening towards the end of the year is we're checking our reactivity. Yeah. And now in 2020, I'm going to sit back with like popcorn and be like, what the heck is going on here?
Exactly.
And that's how I feel.
We kind of have that now, whereas we didn't have that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Or last year, 2018. I mean, there was no way 2018 you'd be sitting back with your popcorn being like, la-di-da.
Absolutely not. I was hustling and I was experimenting with different healing modality, just like what I was going to be and what was working, what wasn't working, and where I wanted to live and who I wanted to be surrounded by. And now it's like, I'm pretty cool, but again, like, I don't think it's going to be an easy year. But I think that I have a roof over my head, and I think that I have, I like myself a lot. I have wonderful people in my life, and and I have my business. And I think for me, it's like one of those things where it's like, why are you putting yourself in the trenches all the time?
Exactly. And I think it's really 2020 is about, are you willing to trust?
Yeah.
And are you in a space now where you can trust that you will be taken care of? That you will trust that you can, not have to be so defensive and reactive all the time. Yeah. That you can just be okay with where you are, with what you have, and kind of let that be enough while you work towards the things that also feel good to you, or also feel necessary, or also, for many people that listen, they're the healers and the helpers and the ones that want to be of service too. Yeah. And I think we're stronger for it, and we're more ready to do that than ever before. And 2020 people are going to need us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and I think that, I've never felt like, again, like imposter syndrome is something that keeps coming up. And you hear it all the time now. I probably hear it once a day, depending on what I read and what I listen to or whatever. But you hear it a lot more often, which I never even heard it. When someone told me about imposter syndrome like a year ago, I was like, am I an imposter? Like, I didn't understand it in a certain aspect. And I think a lot of that's being wiped away too.
Yeah. No, totally. That was a big phase that I went in and out of for a while. And I think 2019 was my year that I finally was like, yeah, I'm not an imposter. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I think it was just because there was a lot of shady shit that was coming up. Yeah. And so it makes us think and go deep and be like, shit, am I part of this problem? Am I a catalyst in that way? Am I a conduit? And what I found was I got presented even more evidence and beautiful proof that, like, you're on the right track. Like, that's not you. That's not your story. Don't entertain it.
Like 2-3 years ago, it was like, I'm a guru, I'm this, I'm all this. And then it got into imposter syndrome. So it's like extreme highs, extreme lows. And now we're calibrating into just, I wouldn't say leaders, just like teachers or just.
Totally. very Age of Aquarius. Like like we've been saying, it's like very much parallel to that. Yeah, and just let yourself be the teacher in whatever way that speaks to you, or the healer, or whatever it may be. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be in a specific spiritual modality, right? It can be through your day job. It can be through your parenting. It can, there's so many ways that you get to show up as a teacher. Yeah. And we're not limited to thinking I have to open up a yoga studio or I have to, run a juice bar.
Just being human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really the call to action is how can you just be human, come from a good place, and make a conscious decision that every day you'd like to do something that helps someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's simple.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh, we're so warm and fuzzy.
I know.
Good stuff. Oh. Amazing. So love all that. So essentially, I feel like you really very Sagittarius, like fire sign of you. Like you really just like, all right, I'm here for this, and like rolled with it.
Yeah. I had no clue what, and again, this happens to a lot of people, happens to a lot of my clients. They maybe saw an angel number before, or they have a passed on loved one. And then you tell them like, you can do this too. Like you can read tarot cards. And I've probably sent 20 to 25, maybe 30 people to go get Reiki training.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, me too? I'm like, yeah, go do Reiki. Yeah. I want more of us everywhere. I want us to all be healers. I want us to all love ourselves and feel good and be able to help each other and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, I remember, I don't think I had time to think, in 2016, 17, 18. And this year I finally got to take care of myself, for the first time, that I wasn't before. Cause I feel like, again, imposter syndrome comes in and just kind of like hustling or just like prove yourself or just trying to, and I think for me, it's like, now I feel like I'm really am what I set out to be.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me.
Yeah. So what do you think within that wavelength is next for you?
Hopefully going full time in my healing, work. I don't know. I don't know. I'm open though. I'm open, and just in the way that. However, I think everything that's happened to me, and I actually said this to a client the other day. I've like seen something falling out of the sky, and I've like shimmied over to it so it can fall on my lap. And I think I need to stop doing that. You know what I mean? I think with my apartment, I think with Reiki, I think, with dating, I think I always like see something falling and I'm like, oh my gosh, what would it happen if I actually went for something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's my goal now. I'll be 39.
I love that.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, you're like me. I'm always fucking going for something.
I know.
Too much so.
I know. It's very inspirational.
Always like, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But there are times where I could do more like what you do in the space of, this is where I'm at, and I'm just gonna nest here for a little while.
Yeah.
And I think there's a benefit and a beauty to that, which you do. And I've seen your growth and satisfaction and so many other things come from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the one thing that I did this year that was good for me, which I only bring this up because I'm sure a lot of women listen to this, I got a tummy tuck, and it was the best thing I ever did. It was the best thing I ever did. And it's one of those things where it's like, you don't think that aligns with you spiritually, or you don't think that you have honestly aligned up so much with self-worth.
Of course.
And you don't think it. I remember before I got it, I was like, do you think people are going to think I'm not spiritual because I did cosmetic surgery? And it was it was one of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had in my whole entire life, because it showed me that not to say it was easy, but it's something that you can do. And it's something I didn't like the way that I looked naked, and it was one of those things that I work out so hard and everything. And so I did it, and I love the way I look naked now. And that's so beautiful. And it was one of those things where it's like, this is my body, and this is what carries me through everything. And to walk around every single day and be like, I don't like how much extra skin I have, or I had diastasis recti, which was ab separation. And now, unbelievably, I don't bloat when I eat, and I can do boat pose very easily, and all those things in your core workout. And so for me, it was like, that was one thing that I took care of my human vessel. And it was one of the things that you think is outrageous.
Right.
Right.
That's not aligned with, But like, what even is a spiritual path, right? Like, there is no real definition. It's you being in spirit with you.
Yeah.
You being in your truest form of self and reflection and giving yourself exactly what it is that you need so that you can fulfill your mission and what you're here to do. And if you were feeling held back,
Yes.
then it is spiritual to take care of that.
Exactly.
It would be unspiritual of you to continue to ignore it and just let it continue to grow and fester and almost like hoarding energy.
Yeah. And I was like, if I and I didn't feel like I was worthy enough of it, not realizing like how doable it is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it almost aligned exactly with one of my clients who went back to get her MBA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because we both talked about the same thing. We said it was so hard for us to do it. It was so hard for me to get because I thought I was just going to walk around and I was going to have the extra skin and I was just going to show the universe I really just like the body that
Look at
God.
me.
Yeah, I'm okay with my extra skin, and I wasn't, and it filled up a lot of space in my mind. And same with my client, and she was just like, I guess I won't get my MBA. Like, I don't need it. I'll just prove to everyone how smart I am without it. And
right.
it was like
it makes things more difficult.
Why do we
unnecessary
think
suffering?
Yeah, and I had to learn that was a self-worth thing. Like, let me give, and then as you give yourself these things, you learn more and more how many people do stuff for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Or how many people don't do stuff for themselves.
Well, I'd say more successful people do things for themselves than the other way around.
And then you feel part of like a club of successful people.
Yeah.
When you were like, I did this, and a part of you feels unworthy of it, so you feel like, who does she think she is?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you do it, people are like, hey, come to our side. Like, I do stuff for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that was like that was probably the biggest thing I've ever done for myself.
Yeah.
In my whole entire life.
No, and it shows. I mean, you glow, like there's just a different, you literally don't carry as much with you. And I never thought that before. Like, I never thought like you were carrying more or anything like that. But now that we're, on the other side, it's like, oh, like she didn't bring her suitcase with her.
Yeah, no one really noticed it before because I disguised it well.
Sure.
But I've always been a thicker girl, and I still am thick right now.
And you always own it and like claim it, and just be like, "This is who I am."
But it was cortisol, and it was a place for you and there was remnants of sadness there, or remnants of emotional eating, and there was remnants of unhappy times where I saw that every single day, and for some reason I felt like I still had to walk around with it. And it was like, no, let's get rid of it. And then there's nowhere else that any cortisol or any stress needs to hide anymore. Because the second it goes there, you say, oh, no.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, a very simple way to put it, it's like curing your cold but still having a runny nose. Like, why? Just because you had a cold doesn't mean you still have to have a runny nose. Like, it's a simpler way of saying it, but it's like we do that sometimes. It's like you healed the core wound, yet you were still holding the wound.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's healed. So why do you have to keep carrying it around?
Because I wanted to be punished. I felt I still had low self-worth in that fashion. Yeah. But I remember manifesting it at a new moon ceremony in Tulum.
Oh.
I remember I said, I want it, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and people were like, you want that? Mm-hmm. I would never know that you wanted that because you...
Right, you don't act like you do. But deep down, it was important.
Yeah.
And it was necessary because otherwise you just almost like carrying around a corpse.
Yeah. And then I said, as soon as I'm finished yoga teacher training, because I want to do it in my old body. Mm-hmm. And that was I remember, this was all strategic almost. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, I want to do this all in my old body as an homage to old Regan.
Yes.
And then as soon as it was done, I was like, I'm ready.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Me too.
Yay. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh, thanks.
So for anyone that, everyone's like totally like on like Team Regan now. If they're not already, because like your people are already listening to this right now. They're like, we love Regan.
I hope so.
Obviously. What's like one thing that you would really want people to know walking away from this conversation?
That there's enough for all of us out there, and like go for your dreams, and like I think with my clients, like you're loved, like the universe does love you, and it does have your back, and sometimes you have to do a little shifting around and changing your life up for it to happen, but like you're going to be okay. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I just feel like, the universe does love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If there were any doubts, if there were any lingering moments, like, no, here and now, whatever you're going through, whatever you did, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You are loved. It is going to be okay. You are okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
The universe doesn't want you to struggle.
No. So let's let that go.
Yeah.
Let's let that go.
Oh, or can we leave that behind?
Yeah. Let's
leave behind. Well, I mean, obviously I want the struggle for the character,
talking.
but I mean, like the self-destructive, struggly stuff. Like I'm done.
Yeah, leave it in the teenage years of the century.
Yeah,
it feels right.
Yeah, I feel all grown up.
Yeah, it's not bringing it into our 20s. No. To redo our 20s.
I know. Oh, I didn't have my 20s.
Yeah, my 20s were, well, no, I mean, once I had my Saturn return, I was 26, and that's when things started to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, but I would definitely do the first 6 years. Probably. In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. Same for you.
Yes.
It's going to be great. So you also have a brilliant marketing strategy in that you pretty much run your business through Instagram.
Yes.
So let's keep the Instagram going, for Regan's sake.
Yes.
No, but it's brilliant. I remember when I first found you, I mean, when I moved back to Philly, I was just looking I'm like, who are the people here?
Yeah.
Right? Like, for me, I'm so social. I want to connect with this community. I want to play a part. I'm a Leo, so I wanted to know how I could step up and be a leader and be a teacher, and I wanted to know who was doing it already. And, you kind of came into my realm pretty quickly through my searches. And I remember seeing, like, your marketing was literally like, you have stories, and you're like, this is when I have openings. And then, like, an hour later, they'd be, like, crossed out, and you're like, this is the only one left. And I'm like, wow. And I would watch, like, every week, just you do that over and over again. I would see all the spots get, like, marked off, and I'm like, this is brilliant, and it's so simple, and, like, literally, like, anyone can do this.
Yeah. I have tons of clients. I feel like it doesn't look like I do because I'm not talking about like clients.
No, but it looks like you do.
I feel, and I'm very private about my clients.
Right, like, you don't showcase your clients. This is just from the space of scheduling and, hey, you want to book with me?
Yeah.
Here's what I got. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and there's so many people that pop up in my DMs. My DMs are full of beautiful women and men who need help and healing.
Yeah.
And less dick pics.
Right.
And so, so but it was excruciating doing that. Like, it was embarrassing the first time I ever did that. I was like, oh God, who's going to want to book with me? Or who's going to want to, want to see my face next to my, like, Reiki table. But it works, man. When I used to not put my face on my scheduling things, no one would book. And then I'm like, everyone wants to see my face. Everyone wants to see this mug. If they see my face, I book all the time. Because I think it's just like, this is what you're getting. This is tangible.
Yeah.
This is the human being behind this. And I think that was one of those things where it's like, I honestly didn't have the money to do any marketing. And
which so I love. Yeah. I mean, this is just, I love it just from the space of this is how you roll, and you're still doing it that way. Although we did add Acuity, which
we have Acuity scheduling, and I did make a website.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you got there, but I think, for anyone that's just like, I can't start out because I don't have the website. I don't have the photos. I don't have have one good photo and do a strategy like this, and Instagram is free.
The greatest platform. It has made me wildly successful.
Yeah.
With my healing business. It gets my name out there, and I think also I just want people to know, like, I don't always feel the most confident person in the world either.
Neither do I.
Yeah. I don't.
Especially when you're promoting. There are moments it'll test you.
Yeah.
We just come out with 11/11. I had a moment during that whole launch where I was like, nobody cares. Like, nobody wants to do my freaking workshop. And I'm like, this is silly. Everyone's so tired of me talking about 11/11, right? And then you get over it because you're like, no, that's not the point.
Yeah, because you're someone out there needs you, and you need to be there to be able to receive
100%.
them. And so there's times where I'm just like, there are times where I feel like, like no one wants to book with me, or and then magically like 7 people will book with me in 2 hours, and I'll be like, what the heck? What did I do today that made me so special? But it's consistency. People like consistency too.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing. It's not just, oh, let me try this one time. Oh, it didn't work. No, you try it. It doesn't have to be every day, but find a consistent amount every week that you can do.
It's been 3 years straight.
Yeah. So go to her. So what's your handle?
It's Regan Maria, Regan, and Regan.
Yeah. So clearly connect with her just because she's fabulous. And if you're in the Philly area, you can hang with her locally, get healing from her. But at the same time, like look to her as as a resource. If you're starting out, you don't have the funds to really do much. Well, like what she's doing is working. So use her as a inspiration and a mentor in that way.
Instagram's Instagram and Facebook, it's kind of phasing out as much. They're both wonderful, but Facebook is great for events.
Yes. Facebook is great for events.
It's great for events.
I had so many people come because they found it on a Facebook event.
And if you don't have over 10,000 followers, you can share stories, articles. So that's a good thing, because not everyone of us has the swipe up, Danielle. So you forget about us lowly folks over here.
I don't know what it's like not to include the link. Sometimes I don't, and I could just to, have a moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to do every story with the link.
Yeah, sometimes I have to screenshot 47 screenshots of a whole entire article to share it because I don't have a swipe up, So not everyone has a swipe up. So I still have to use Facebook to share articles, but like Facebook is great for events, articles, but like Instagram is the best. Like use it. Don't be scared of. I know that people hate social media because they're like,
we're worried about our cousin from, Indiana seeing it.
Thinking I'm weird,
Right. Like that's what's holding you back from hundreds of people that will think you're amazing.
Or don't think they'll get enough likes. And I don't know what it's like because I don't care.
Yeah. I never cared about that. And apparently it's going away. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm okay with it. My friend lives in Canada and he said he's fine with it and everyone likes it even more.
Yeah.
And
in Canada, there's no likes?
Has been likes for about 6 to 10 months.
The Canadians.
They're the best. He said it works better. Like people like it more.
Fine. I know a lot of people let's say like you're an influencer listening, you're like, oh, it's gonna like ruin my shit. No, like you can still, if you like, let's just really quick, we'll go like a little bit more advanced. Like if you're looking to do a paid ad or someone's gonna pay you to promote, it's actually not by likes, it's by reach and your analytics, which are all gonna live in your business account anyway. So when a person like an ad or a product or whatever reaches out to you and says, hey, we'll pay you $500 to share about this, when you do it, then you're going to send them those algorithms. You're not going to send them like a screenshot of,
it's impressions.
Yeah, totally. It's all about reach. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. However, I know it matters to individuals, especially when you're starting out.
We've survived everything so far. We can survive this.
Yeah, I think I'm curious how it's going to go.
I mean, we survived MySpace ending.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah. And then having Facebook being everything, and then having Instagram, I thought it was just
I'm curious, and there'll be something else one day.
Yeah,
I believe it. So we'll see. To be continued. TikTok.
I'm too old.
I'm not. I love to sing and be goofy. I'm not doing that. But I think basically what we're saying though is just like go for it. Use hashtags. Follow people that inspire you, and just take it one day at a time.
Yeah, like no one knows. No one knows that you're scared. No one knows that you're.
They don't know.
Unless don't feel as qualified. Yeah, unless you tell them. But no one knows. Own it.
Yeah,
own it.
I remember when I saw your account. I didn't know who you were. I saw you were doing that whole thingy, and your things kept crossing out, and I was like, whoa. And I remember there was like 2 times I tried, and every time I would like try. This is before I like ever reached out to you. I was like, I'm gonna do a tarot session with you. That was like my thought process because I think I was still navigating like moving back here. And they kept getting X'd out. And then I think I just wound up messaging you about something else, and then we just became friends.
No, I think I made you be my friend.
Oh, okay. That's usually what happens.
I was like, Danielle, do you want to meet for a drink?
You knew the way to my heart.
I know. I knew. I was like, we have to be friends because I have a lot of friends in the spirit. I do have a lot of tons of women in the spiritual world because I think I went through the Reiki school.
Yes.
I got real lucky with the community. That Reiki school moved, and so it's less community focused. Right. But I was like, I need someone who's like not to be like contemporary, like hip, like me. Like I'm a regular person still. That's the thing. Like I didn't change my image to fit the spiritual scene. I didn't. No. Didn't.
Literally, we're wearing sweats with like messy buns right now.
Yeah,
it's not like we're in our like. I told you like the other day we were with our other girlfriend Jess, who has been on the show, and I was showing Jess's in fashion, so I was like, oh my gosh, like I went to this like store she recommended, and I got this like long like tan caftan-y dress, and then I like pull it out, and before we even showed, I'm like, Regan, you're not gonna like it.
If my boobs can't breathe in something, I'm not into it.
Yeah, you were like, oh no.
You'll never catch me in a caftan. ever. I don't care how weird I get.
Yeah.
You'll never catch me in a caftan. Yeah.
No. I mean, maybe one day when you're older. Like, I could see you, like, 70s Reagan. I mean, you're still going to want to have your boobs out, but there could be a moment where you have, like, a nice flowy
My long
frock.
gray hair.
Yeah, I could see with a little bit of a flowy frock.
And my turquoise jewelry.
Yeah.
When I live in, like, Arizona.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll wear a caftan.
Yeah, Naples, Florida,
Oh, yeah, we're moving to Florida when we get older. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see you doing it then. But in the next 30 years?
Yeah, sports bras and yoga pants for me.
Yeah, so that's how we roll.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This is a lot easier than I thought for my first podcast. Yeah.
Yes, the first is always the hardest.
You made it very easy for me. I was like, what am I going to talk about?
Please, you.
We never kept the log off.
Yeah. So I didn't even need to be on it. I should have been like, here's the mic. I'm going to go for a walk, and I'll be back in an hour. You let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
You want me to get you anything while I'm gone?
Is this thing on?
Yeah. No, you did great. So, yes, a lot of people reach out to you on the Insta. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Me.
Of course. And I adore you.
I adore you.
All the feels.
So tell me, did you love this episode? While I may not need your validation, I certainly love it. So go ahead and make sure that you are following or subscribed or have reviewed this podcast in whatever app you listen to. And let's support the show by supporting each other. Share this out with a friend or someone that you know would just love to have a juicy listen. I adore you. You're amazing. Thank you.